ओहो, तो फिर आज शुरू किया जाए। चलो देखते हैं बोर्ड पे कि हम आज पढ़ने वाले हैं मोशन। मोशन चैप्टर 9 फिजिक्स NCERT। So motion is when an object changes its position with a reference point. So let's say this is one point or the reference point, starting point, and for this starting point, when the object changes its position, let's say initially object was at this point, now the object moves to a particular distance and it reaches this final point. So we can say when there is a change of position with respect to time, then object is in motion. Now if let's say object is at this point even after a particular time, so we can say the position has not changed. So when there is no change in the position with respect to time, we say object is at rest. Now types of motion, there are certain types of motions. They are linear or rectilinear, that means straight line motion. Linear motion is a straight line. When an object travels in a straight path, then it is termed as rectilinear or straight line motion. For example, a straight highway, or when an object travels or a car travels on a straight highway, then we can say it's a rectilinear motion, right? Now next is circular motion, when an object travels in a circular path. So when an object travels in a circular path, it is termed as circular motion. Now the next one we can say, or for this, the example may be a fan. The fan, which is, yes, the same ceiling fan or the fan of a cooler. The blades of the fan, they travel on the path of circle. So that's why the motion can be termed as circular motion. Now oscillatory or periodic, like a pendulum. That means the motion which repeats itself after a particular period or a particular time, then we can say it's oscillatory motion, right? Now next we have distance and displacement. Alright, to understand these two, distance, when an object travels from point A to point B. Now there may be many number of ways to travel from point A to point B. It can be a straight line, or it can be a curved line, or any curved line, right? Now distance is the actual path traveled from point A to point B. Whatever the actual path the body has traveled. So from point A to point B, the actual path traveled is termed as distance. Basic unit, we measure the unit in distance traveled in meters, right? Now displacement, for the same point A to point B, displacement is the shortest path. Now to reach from point A to point B, there can be many number of ways to reach from point A to point B, but the shortest path is straight line. This shortest line, straight line, is displacement. Displacement is the shortest path traveled by the object to reach from one point to another. So I believe this is clear to you. Now in the further chapter we have topic speed and velocity. Now as for the speed, you have already learned speed. It means distance covered in a particular unit of time. So let's say when you mention speed, and to obtain the numericals based on this topic, you should know always use basic units. For distance it is meter, and for time it is seconds. So basic unit for speed will be meters per second, right? Now let's talk about the next term, that is velocity. Now velocity is defined as displacement upon time, right? Displacement upon time, where displacement we have discussed, that is the shortest path from initial position to the final position. So velocity is defined as the rate of change of displacement or displacement covered with respect to time. Now displacement is as shortest path, so unit of displacement will also be meters and time seconds, so unit of velocity will also be in meters per second. Now you must be thinking, so what's the difference between speed and velocity if they both are measured in the same units? Exactly, the difference is of distance and displacement. So what exactly it is? Distance and displacement, they have one thing different, and that is in distance the object may cover or travel in any direction, right? In any curved path or in any way, right? But in displacement, object always travels in a straight line, so there is a particular direction. So we have that point of direction. In speed, we have distance, that is only the magnitude. So there are two terms, that is magnitude and direction. In speed, we only know magnitude, but there is no direction given. For example, if I say there is a person A, he has traveled to a distance of 20 kilometers. We don't know in which direction he has traveled, so only magnitude is given. And if I say that person A is traveling with the speed of 20 kilometers per hour, 20 kilometers per hour, just the magnitude, no direction. So such quantity which has only magnitude, they are scalar, they have only magnitude. And if I mention that person A has traveled with a speed of 20 kilometers per hour in north, along with the magnitude, I have specified with the direction, in which direction he is traveling, right? In which direction he is traveling, this is specified not only the magnitude, but also it specifies the direction of motion. So the value which specifies the magnitude along with the direction is termed as vector, or also known as vector quantity. So which has magnitude and direction both, right? So the speed, it only specified that magnitude. Speed specifies magnitude as it is distance upon time. So speed is scalar quantity, it is scalar quantity, and velocity, it defines as displacement with respect to time. So displacement is the shortest path, that is a straight line path. That means displacement specifies the direction of the motion. So velocity determines both magnitude as well as direction. So velocity can be termed as a vector quantity, right? Now, when an object covers equal distance in equal interval of time, then it is termed as uniform motion. Let's say person A is traveling and he has covered, or he or she has covered, distance of 5 meters in 2 seconds. Further, next again 5 meters in 2 seconds. Again 5 meters in 2 seconds. Now in this example you can see that this person is covering equal distance in equal interval of time. That means for every 5 meters he is covering, he is taking time, that is 2 seconds. So this type of motion can be termed as uniform motion. And further, you can obtain the speed of this person using the given data, that is meters per second, distance upon time. You can obtain the speed of the person. Now next is non-uniform motion. This means when an object covers unequal distance in equal interval of time. For example, let's say in first 2 seconds object has covered 5 meters, in the next 2 seconds object has covered 7 meters, and in the further next 2 seconds object has covered 3 meters. So in this example you can see that this person has covered unequal distances in equal interval of time. So such examples or in such situations are termed as non-uniform motion. Now you can obtain the speed as well for every interval, right? Now you can obtain average speed as well. That means speed, again by definition speed says distance over time or the rate of change of distance. So you can say here, to obtain here average speed, what you need is total distance upon total time. So to obtain the average speed, what you need to do is just add up all the distance covered throughout the journey and divide it by the total time taken. So for the first case it will be 15 meters over 6 seconds. So 15 by 6 meters per second, that will be the answer for the average speed of this case. Now similarly you can obtain average velocity, displacement upon time. Similarly, to obtain the average velocity, what you need is total displacement over total time. This is what you need to obtain average velocity. Acceleration is defined as rate of change of velocity with respect to time. Now let me write it here. Now to understand this, let's take an example. Let's say there is a car which is traveling with the speed of 2 meters per second. 2 meters per second. Now after a particular time, let's say after a time period of 10 seconds, the car has changed its velocity to 10 meters per second. So previously the car was traveling with some velocity, that is 2 meters per second. Now the car is traveling with the speed of 10 meters per second, and to change the speed the car has taken time of 10 seconds. So the acceleration, how to find the acceleration? It is rate of change of velocity. Now rate of change of velocity, that means acceleration, change in velocity with respect to time. Now change in velocity, how much change in the velocity has taken place? To obtain it, what we need to do is final velocity 10 meters per second, initial velocity 2 meters per second, and the change here is 8 meters per second, the change of 8 meters per second. So we'll obtain it here as 10 meters per second minus 2 meters per second and time 10 seconds. So we can write as 8 by 10 unit meters per second, and for time seconds. Now the obtained answer is 0.8 and the unit will be meters per second square. Now this is unit for acceleration, right? And acceleration, as by definition, is rate of change of velocity with respect to time. Now to solve numericals we need some notations, and those notations are that initial velocity, here this initial velocity is represented by symbol u. Initial velocity u, and final velocity represented by symbol v. एंड फॉर टाइम वी नो इट इज सिंबल T। बहुत ही अंग्रेजी हो गई आज तो। अगर आपको यही वीडियो हिंदी में चाहिए हो तो मुझे कमेंट सेक्शन में ज़रूर बताएं, और तब तक आप लाइक, कमेंट्स और सब्सक्राइब और शेयर करना भूलें नहीं। चैप्टर का अगला टॉपिक मैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो में ज़रूर बताऊंगा। अगर आपको हिंदी में चाहिए तो कमेंट सेक्शन में बताएं, क्योंकि आजकल अंग्रेज बनने की भीड़ बहुत लगी है, सबको अंग्रेज बनना है। तब तक के लिए